Hello and welcome to the Unpublished Writers Club, the podcast for aspiring authors, writing enthusiasts, or any creative out there. Whether you're at the start of your writing journey, in the process of being published, or just someone curious, everyone here has a place to connect, engage, and perhaps learn a thing or two. I'm your host, Zia, a final year uni student who, over the past 5 years, has been learning, failing, and putting themselves out there, all for the sake of making a career out of writing. And so, while I'm still at the start of my writing journey, I thought I'd bring you along with me to share what I've learned, and I'm in the process of learning, to help make your navigation of this journey just a little bit easier. And as I am officially in the final semester of my degree, I thought it'd be time to make an episode on why I decided to go to university as an aspiring author. And so in today's episode, I wanted to discuss the reasons on why I went to university, why I considered not going to university, and just why it's not really something that is normalized or necessary in this industry to become an author and grow. And so this was obviously a question that I toyed with a lot because it's just not something that is necessarily needed in this industry like it is needed to become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. We are a lot more flexible in this creative industry to be able to succeed young, succeed unqualified, and just make these experiences and opportunities available to us no matter our background or our experiences or our, potential for a traditional education. I think the more people who share their experiences and journeys to getting published or the career in just any creative industry is so beneficial and helpful for those who are at the start or wanting to get into it. So I'm here to just present a more holistic view, a very blunt view, and just overall help weigh up if you should go or not. I don't want you to start this episode and think that because I did go to university, I think that is what everybody should do if they want to become a writer. I actually think it's probably the opposite, but you'll just have to stay to find out and understand why. Before I get into the video, I did just want to share one of my latest segments of this podcast, which is an update on my work in progress, which right now is a novel that I'm working on, and I'm very happy to say that it is currently sitting at 54,000 words, which is a big jump from I think the 30,000 I said last month that I was at, but still definitely not as far through as I want to be. I did think I would potentially be finishing the first draft by now, but that's okay. The only deadlines I have are the ones that I'm instilling on myself, so I can be flexible, which is really good. So if we are following along with the 3-act 8-sequence structure, which I've been taught to do in university, and it's just kind of helpful, especially to share what the project is looking at right now because it is still in the first draft. I am about halfway through the 5th sequence, obviously 54,000 words, halfway through pretty much, and the 5th sequence is the subplot and rising action. So that's a really fun place to be because characters are getting more fleshed out, especially those side characters, and also because stakes are just getting higher. Everything's becoming more fun, especially as we get towards the end. However, I am getting a bit more writer's block at the moment, even though the whole story is mapped out. I'm just struggling, I think, because there are a lot of loose ends that need to come together. So I just need to push through, get this first draft done, and then it can be a bit more neat and tidy and beautiful, but I just need to push through, get this done, no matter how awkward or rough it is. If you have any works in progress that you're doing at the moment, feel free to share them below because I think it would be really fun to support each other in the comments. Share what you've done in this past month or where you want to go with it, and yeah, I think it would just be really fun to keep us all motivated and, working together because that's what we all deserve, is somebody to encourage us. So if you share yours below, I will be there cheering you on for sure, no matter what the work in progress is. So in terms of the topic of today's episode, why I chose to go to university as an aspiring author really does stem from when I was back in high school. I obviously got to year 12, I had to start figuring out what I'm gonna do with my life and where I'm gonna choose to take it in the next couple of years. And so a big question was, will I go to university the next year, in a year from now? What am I doing with my time and what am I striving towards? And so because I knew that I wanted to give writing a shot, I really wanted to dedicate my life to it because I am so passionate about it, I had to consider not what I was going to do so much, which I know so many people struggle with. And I was very fortunate that I had an idea and I had a passion to work towards. I had to figure out if I was going to go to university or if I was just going to go out there and, you know, find a full-time job right on the side, figure out what to do. There are so many resources out there, as I shared in my very first podcast episode. And so I really considered honestly doing like a summer school for myself online, and just use, like, for example, all of Reedsy's incredible courses, all of the email information that people give out, lectures on YouTube and that kind of thing. There are so many incredible resources, and I was like, oh, I can learn so much because I know I need to learn so much, but do I really need to go to university to learn it? However, I obviously decided to go to university instead of picking one of the other many different paths that I could have taken. So here's why. My first reason for why I chose to go to university as an aspiring writer, author, creative was because I knew I needed to move out of my comfort zone. I was a very shy child. I still am pretty predisposed to being very shy, and so I knew that if I wanted to seize this opportunity, if I wanted to dedicate my life to writing, I needed to find the confidence to let people actually read it. And so I knew that because I hadn't shared my work before other than a couple high school competitions, I needed to be in an environment where I was constantly pushed and it wasn't just an internal drive to be motivated. I needed deadlines, I needed class feedback, I needed to be in that really uncomfortable space for a while just to make sure that I got happy and comfortable and really passionate in it. And that was a really good thing. Discomfort doesn't always have to be negative, and in this case it wasn't. And now towards the end of my degree, it has been so incredibly helpful. I did want to share though that university isn't required to get this confidence. You could push yourself a bit more and join like writing communities to share your work, obviously do competitions to share your work. University isn't necessary to get this like perk when it comes to writing and building that confidence, but it was what I needed at the time because I knew that I just wouldn't be able to do it myself. And so having those opportunities to collaborate with others, constantly share my work and stand up in front of a class and like pitch ideas and stuff, that has been invaluable for my confidence and my just self-efficacy as an author and creative. I also found it very fun to move out of my comfort zone in terms of what I was writing. As creatives, we do kind of work on the same thing over and over again. Like, for example, I really like fiction, especially that dystopian stuff, because that's what I read a lot. However, in university, I was given the chance to, not given the chance, I was forced to do these pieces that I wouldn't normally choose to do, whether they were non-fiction pieces or just completely different genres that I wasn't used to. I found that really helpful to being able to just extend my knowledge, extend my care to try different things. And then it actually meant that I figured out I was good at more things than I was expecting to. I figured out that I was more passionate and interested in doing different styles and everything. So that was a very helpful aspect of university for me. However, again, I do think that just any competition can also help you with that if you're willing to put the dedication and time into figuring out how to, you know, take those different prompts that they do or those different guidelines and apply them to your work, or, you know, look it up online and figure out what are the elements of this specific genre, what themes or what like character tropes can I subvert or utilize in different ways. So again, this is another reason why I went to university, but one that you can easily substitute without university. The second reason why I chose to go to university was definitely because of the networking opportunities. I have had more like human-to-human connection and feedback than I ever could have had alone, whether that was because of teachers who have been in the industry for decades and decades, whether that has been older students who have helped with my work and given me feedback, or again, just the peers who are at the same level, who have different perspectives or who have different experiences, who are able to help you. I think having that ability to have feedback, especially because all of these people, especially your peers and classmates, are the future editors in this industry, are the future publishers. It has been so cool to create those connections and network in that way, even if it is just, you know, working on a piece together. I've also had obviously those teachers who have been in the industry. They have invaluable advice or connections that then you can utilize further, which is great. And so having that person-to-person contact, I cannot find a way to substitute that is not university, unless you are extending yourself into writing member groups or like those sorts of Facebook groups, those things. But even then, unless you are face-to-face, I think it is so tricky to substitute that. Not to say that that isn't possible and not something that you can also get. I also think that internationally, university has been invaluable for me. For example, this year alone, I have been to India to study, as well as Japan, and that has just been such a game-changing experience for me, especially when it comes to networking, obviously, because I'm meeting so many new people, but also so many new cultures and industry that we do not have in Australia. And so to be able to receive such incredible information, whether that is writing experiences just for myself and my life experiences to be able to inform my work later on, but then also meeting new people, experiencing these different cultures, is so beautiful to be able to see what does translate between culture, between country, between just people and languages and art, and what doesn't. Because then I think that when you are writing or creating art, especially that is about person-to-person connection or just life, it is so important that you are writing something that is transferable, that is an international piece, because then you can connect with so many other people. You are truly writing to the human spirit, because no matter where we come from and no matter what language we speak or what we look like, we have that same tapestry of humanity. I think we are all woven with the same pieces of existence. And so I am so grateful to be able to have had this opportunity to network on a global scale. And again, that wouldn't have been possible for me without university. But that isn't a given. I did work very, very hard for that, and I was very lucky with the opportunities I was granted. To link into the next reason, I think these international experiences are obviously just an example of the more opportunities that I had in university. And so not only did I get to internationally travel, I also just had these connections from teachers or peers who would share, for example, writing competitions that I didn't know about, who would share just writing groups that I didn't know about or I could go to. Same with festivals and volunteering opportunities or internships. It was so great to have that tangible and person-to-person community where everyone was on the same page, everyone was trying to share the information that they had so that anyone could further themselves. It was not a community of competition. It is always, if I have this opportunity, you have this opportunity, and we should all strive for it. I also had the opportunity to hear from authors who are being published today, some of which were obviously my teachers, but others were brought in by my teachers. So you could hear about completely different genres, completely different stories and experiences in publishing. And again, that was just another form of opportunity that I wouldn't have been able to have as easily and as readily as with university. And I think that's the biggest theme with all of these reasons, is that I truly believe that anyone could get these opportunities no matter what. But for me, getting them through university meant that I got them quicker, I got them easier, and it was just a lot smoother. I was definitely in a very fortunate and a very blessed position to be able to have that, because I know a lot of people unfortunately can't, and that is just one of the downfalls, because if I'm getting such invaluable information, everybody else should be able to as well, but that's unfortunately not the reality yet. My final reason why I decided to go to university was because then I was given my extra credentials. So for me, I have a very broad degree that I tailored to be about creative writing. To specify what it is exactly, I'm doing a Bachelor of Creative Arts, which could have gone the journalism route, could have gone the film route, but I chose to make it about creative writing. And then I major in international relations and communications. Now, what this means for me, that when I leave university at the end of the year, I have this very broad and very diverse degree that's going to help me in so many fields. I now have internship experiences and class experiences and a resume that is able to be translated across all of these different industries, and I'm very fortunate for that. So now that I am moving forward into full-time work, into the industry itself, I am able to not put all of my eggs, I guess, into being published, which I absolutely want to do, and that would be incredible. But I also just love this industry so much, and I'm so passionate about all the work that I do that I'm very excited to be able to say that my degree has enabled me to be able to be within a publishing house, or I could go and be within a social media team of a different field, and I could keep doing all these things that I really love and then keep furthering my publishing experience and work, and then possibility to get published later on. But for now, I get to be in the industry no matter what. To mention my majors as well, I think again they were majors that I chose to do, which I was very fortunate to have so many options for my majors and just a very flexible degree. And so I have found that they have been absolutely invaluable for the trajectory that I want to go, but also for being open enough that I could be accepting of just new ideas and job possibilities. So for me, with communication, that obviously extends into anything from social media, which I think I've definitely lent into a bit more with the classes that I've chosen, but also then with the internships and experience that I've gotten throughout university. And that has just been a very exciting thing. It means that I've been able to take classes such as interpersonal communication or intercultural communication, which means that I can take those elements of the psychology and the theories behind just communication itself, and then be able to apply it to, for example, a fiction book, just to make it more accessible to a lot of people. I think to make it more of a global book and to make it something that people are going to relate to more, which is something that I'm really passionate about. In terms of the international relations major that I have, it has been a very cool opportunity just to be able to understand how different societies work and then how they work at a global level. So at the start of every one of my international relations classes, we have been asked to go around the room and say what your name is, how far into your degree are you, and why you've chosen to take the class. And every single time without fail, I have gone in and I've said, well, I'm here because I want to be a writer, and I really like the idea of just understanding the world that we are in now, so that I can build fictional worlds and I can create these very real and very authentic dynamics, whether that's people or entire continents. And that is something that people are able to extract from in the real world and grow and learn and take something from. And that is, again, just something I'm really passionate about, which is just taking these aspects of fantasy but really rooting them in reality. And that just makes me so happy that I get to study these things. And now it has gotten so dark, so I'm gonna go turn on the light. Do not mind the constant changing in lighting during this episode. So would I recommend going to university as an aspiring author? It's entirely up to you and your circumstances, which is probably a cop-out response, but it is just so true. Everything that I've experienced and gained could have been achieved all in due time, but I chose to do it now because it was possible for me and my very blessed circumstances. I'll be back next time with another episode of the Unpublished Writers Club. Until then, make sure you check out the links below and send in any questions you have so that I can cover them in a future episode.